Hey, welcome into the Stinkin Truth Podcast alongside Mike Evans. I am Mark Schlereth. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day. The day after the AFC and NFC Championship games. And Mike, something you and I have talked about a bunch. What is it about kicking field goals that makes you feel as a head coach that you've been emasculated? What's the problem with points? Points are a premium, especially in playoff games, and both coaches eschewed field goals, and I think it ended up costing both coaches the game.
Definitely Denver. No doubt in my mind. And yeah, I remember before the playoffs began, Stink, you and I sitting right here talking to people about, what we hoped we would see in these playoffs. And we both talked about the idea, coaches, don't be afraid of 3 points. Kicking field goals can be a good thing. And boy, you look at that Denver game where they had a chance. For those who need a quick reset, they were up 7-0. They were off to a good start offensively. They faced a 4th and 1 at their own 14 at the New England 14-yard line. They chose to go for it instead of kicking the field goal. They didn't get the 4th down play, and it seemed like the game just drastically changed after that.
Yeah, I think there's a couple things that bothered me. One, I know that our radio show in Denver, Colorado is the radio show of record. Like, I know that, right?
Yeah.
So I know that they listened when we had Peyton Manning on about, the fact that I was going to be back in Peyton Manning's suite. And the Broncos actually called Peyton and said, hey, we're putting some pictures of Stink up in your suite, just to bother Brandon Stokely, our partner. Yeah. So they did that. So did they not listen to the weather report we had? I mean, apparently they didn't know the weather was going to get shitty. And if they'd have just listened to the radio show, they would have known in the second half the snow was going to move in, the winds were going to pick up, and it was going to get ugly. And so there you sit in the first quarter with a chance to go up 10-0. 10-0. Where the weather's going to change. And at that point, I believe the Broncos had 127 total yards of offense going into that field goal attempt on or that 4th down and 1 attempt, right? Which I'm sitting with Brandon Stokely, Mike Shanahan, Peyton Manning, and we're all like, kick it, take the 3 points. You go up, you got a 2-score game. Kick the freaking field goal.
And that point, New England has run 12 plays for 12 yards.
12 plays for 12 yards. So your defense balling out of control. Yep. They've got the Patriots offense on lockdown. A 10-point game, a 2-score game in that situation. I think new rule. You said this. I'm stealing it from you. New rule. It's mine. New rule. If you've got a chance to go up 10 or double digits early and you kick the field goal.
Yep. 2 scores.
2 scores.
2 scores. Go up by 9. 2 scores.
Kick the freaking field goal. Mm-hmm. And yet you turned it down. Now, up to that point, you had the one big play to Mims, that set up your first touchdown. And they were in a cover 4, basically a cover 4 kick, which the safety was kicking down to the 3-man side opposite the corner. Gonzalez didn't realize that he was one-on-one. He didn't, I don't know if he just didn't get the call, he didn't understand the call, but clearly he was playing outside leverage, thinking he had a safety inside help, and he get beat over the top. So it's 7-0, and then they go down there, and they're ready to kick this field goal, and you take 4th down and 1, you decide, you haven't run it for 2 inches at that point. Like, here's the other thing that drives me crazy. What made you think that if you got that first down, so you get the 1 yard, now you got a set of new downs, it's 1st and goal, or it's 1st down and 10 from the 14, 13-yard line. What makes you think you're going to score a touchdown anyhow? You can't run the ball. You were awful running the ball all day long.
You've been a terrible red zone team really all season long.
Yeah.
All season long.
So there's no guarantee you're going up 14-0 at 10-0. And I will tell you, man, Drake May looked rattled early in that game. He was rattled. He couldn't push the ball down the field. The only thing that was working for him was the scrambles, or if he did push the ball, if he did throw the ball on 3rd downs, it was short of the sticks, and you had to rely on somebody breaking a tackle and getting, yards after catch. So this Broncos defense was absolutely dominating the game. Dominating. You go up 10-0, and all of a sudden, you know what happens to you? As an offense, you're down 10-0. Now you're like, man, we got to push this ball. Man, we got to take some chances. We got to do some things, right? Because they've got you on lockdown. Now all of a sudden, you get the strip sack fumble, right? You get a good pass rush. All of a sudden, that wind starts blowing, that weather starts coming in, that snow starts flowing, and now all of a sudden, what do? You push a ball out there, gets intercepted. You get a defensive pick six. Then it's the floodgates. Now all of a sudden it's 17-0. I mean, that's how that goes. But because you didn't do it and it was only 7-0, the Patriots continued to play their style of football. Their running backs, 25 carries for their starting running back, and Stevenson had like 70 yards. I mean, they shut them down.
Yeah.
They shut them down. The Broncos lost that game.
Yeah, I think the old adage, which you hear, and the more I watch the games, the more you realize more games in the NFL are lost than won.
Yeah.
And it's teams that make mistakes that cause a loss more so than the winning team just going out and grabbing the game. And I think the game yesterday was a perfect example of that. I was at the game. I was sitting through that thing in the elements. At no part of me walking out of that stadium felt like the Patriots won the game. The Broncos lost it.
Yeah.
Because not only was it the choice to go for fourth down, you had some key drops, Cortland Sutton, Jaleel McLaughlin, Lil Jordan Humphrey. You had even a field goal attempt that ended up getting partially tipped but blocked. Mm-hmm. Looked like it would have gone through probably. They didn't line up the full distance. Instead of lining up 7 yards, they lined up 6 yards. And because they couldn't see the markers in the snow. I don't know. Yeah. You guys practiced this like 10,000 times all season long.
Right.
You didn't know how to properly mark off a field goal attempt?
As the holder or as the kicker, how do you not know you're only 6 yards instead of 7 yards?
Right.
Like, how do you not look at it and go, hey, dude, we're not lined up right. Get back a little bit.
Right.
Like, at what point, like, at some point, that's on you as players. Like, you have to have that feel of where you are on the football field. So they line up. Their holder is 6 yards away from the snapper. Well, in the NFL, you line up 7 yards deep. You snap the ball, and that's how the operation works. And because they were closer, the Patriot guy gets his finger on it and creates that block kick. I mean, there were so many little things that the Broncos did poorly. The Jarrett Stidham, I'm standing in the suite next to Peyton, and like Peyton shouted out as soon as that play happened, that screen. Oh, they got the screen. No good. Throw it away. Put it at his feet. Don't take this. And then all of a sudden you take this, and then you try to push it out. And at first it's an incomplete pass. It's going to be a intentional grounding call, and then they review it, and they're like, oh yeah, that was a backward lateral. It becomes the Patriots' ball, and they tie it up 7-7. Like, all you got to do is throw that one away. Just throw it away.
Yeah.
That's all you have to do, and yet you weren't able to make that happen. There's the mistake that opens up the floodgates. You talk about the chance to tie the game at 10-10 with that field goal where you don't line up correctly, and so that ends up getting blocked. There were so many things, but speaking of the elements, I felt the elements.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I felt the element. I mean, I feel your pain because...
Oh, my pain.
Yeah, I feel your pain because what I did was, because this is me being a man of the people. Mm-hmm. I went down to the first row of Peyton's suites, and we had the windows open.
Oh, you tough SOB, you.
I sat right there, I mean, a lot of the commoners were looking up, waving, and
commoners.
And I was like almost giving a papal blessing, like, go and sin no more. Go and sin no more. Like I was doing. And then my hands actually got a little cold because the windows were open. I was like, ooh. a couple of minutes to sit in the front row. I'm going to go back to where the food is.
You know, instead of being like Marie Antoinette tossing them cake,
Yeah.
you could have been like tossing them
pretzel. You get a pretzel bite.
You get a pretzel bite.
You get a pretzel bite.
No cheese.
You get a pretzel bite.
No cheese, but
no, I
here
didn't
you go.
want to.
Pretzel bites.
I didn't want to mess up their snowsuits. And so, no, the atmosphere was incredible.
And let's put some respect on what New England did, because there is something to be said that you did the things that didn't cause you to lose the game. Drake May took care of the football.
Yeah.
You know, and coming into this game, we talked about the idea that he had taken 10 sacks and 6 fumbles in the first 2 playoff games, and he cut down on those mistakes.
Yeah. Three fumbles lost in the first 2 playoff games. But I go back to, if you kick that field goal and you go up 2 scores, you go up 10-0. Does all of a sudden some of those ugly traits rear their head? Do all of a sudden you hold on the ball just for a second longer, and then you get the strip sack fumble? Does the weather roll in, and all of a sudden a tip ball jumps off the receiver's hands, or you're under pressure, you throw a ball, gets tipped to the line of scrimmage, linebacker picks it off. Like, all those things come into play. And again, it comes down to pressure, Mike. Like, when you're up 10-0, you've got momentum in that first quarter. You're dominating that first quarter. You've got momentum. As soon as you basically walk away from the field goal and you don't convert on 4th down and 1, where does all that momentum go? It goes to the visitor side of the sideline. And it's just one of those things that's just going to, for me as a fan, it just haunts you.
New England has scored 54 points in their 3 playoff games. This was an offense that averaged about 28 points per game during the regular season. They're at about 17 here during the playoffs. What you're seeing from the offense, is this sustainable moving forward in a couple of weeks? How do they get this offense juiced up again?
Yeah. It's a great question. I'm telling you, the Broncos did a phenomenal job of controlling the line of scrimmage, did a great job of shutting down their run game, did a great job. They had the benefit, Mike, of having a couple of corners that can really play, but one guy in particular, Pat Surtain. How many times did I see him locked up one-on-one with Kayshon Boutte and said, man, you ain't, like, there was zero threat of a deep ball getting over his head. He was in his hip pocket, absolutely destroying him. And so there was really nothing open. But again, to the Patriots' credit, and I'll give them a ton of credit, man, what a smart football game. Even though you couldn't run it for 2 inches, you continue to feed it to Ramondre Stevenson. You know, he's averaging, 3 yards a carry or 2 point something yards per carry, but you still give it to him 25 times. Drake May made some big-time plays with his feet, 10 carries for 60-plus yards, or 65, I think it was. Like, he was big in converting a couple of third downs and things of that nature. But again, they just didn't make the mistakes. Mm-hmm. The Broncos made the mistakes. And I go back to, would it be different? And I believe that it would be, if you go up 2 scores. And then instead of you late in that game pressing because you're down, right? Because you're down 10-7, instead of you being the one pressing, would the Patriots have been the one pressing down 10-0 early in that game?
Especially with the conditions. Like, we joke, but I was lucky enough to be at the game as a fan, and those conditions in the second half got gnarly.
Yeah.
I mean, it really did. And so I look at it as the Broncos were really controlling Drake May and the Patriots offense when the conditions were good.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the second half, if you put the pressure on them and you're playing with a 10-0, 10-7 lead, if the Broncos are, boy, I think it would have been a tough task for that New England offense to put anything together in the second half.
I agree with you.
So
I agree with you. I think to your point, the Broncos more lost that game than the Patriots actually won the game. But I'll give the Patriots all the credit in the world, because they did exactly what they had to do. They were the smarter coaching staff, and they handled the elements better than the Broncos handled the elements. So I will give them all the credit. Congratulations. You're going to the Super Bowl. That is absolutely awesome. And speaking of how gnarly that weather got, you should have been in the front row of that suite when the weather turned, because I'm telling you what, it was. I at one point was like, should I get my gloves? Because it was chilly. So,
Yeah.
but I didn't.
Did you get just a little hint of windburn? Huh?
Yeah, oh man, I tell you what, my phalanges started losing a little circulation.
All right, so we're talking about Sean Payton choosing not to kick a field goal. As we jump into Rams in Seattle now, you had that same kind of situation where Sean McVay could have done the same thing. You were looking at a 4th and 4 at the Seattle 6. 5 minutes left, still 3 timeouts.
And the 2-minute warning.
And the 2-minute warning, but he chose to go for it instead of kicking the field goal that makes it a 1-point game. Same kind of second guessing that you give to Sean Payton, you give to Sean McVay?
100%. 100%. Like, think about this. I'll go all the way back to, what was it, 2023, when Dan Campbell goes to San Francisco in an NFC Championship game and basically decides not to kick field goals and ends up losing that game. And you remember him standing on the podium going, man, you just never know. You never know if you'll be back here. You never know if you get another chance. And right now, I mean, hindsight being 2020, you're right. Last year, they get bounced after having a great regular season, or the year before last, and then last year, they don't get in. And it's one of those situations, Mike, where I look at it like, you kick that field goal. I get it. Now you're down by 1. But now on the ensuing kickoff, with the Seattle Seahawks getting the football, like, all the pressure goes to Sam Darnold. Now, I will give Sam Darnold credit. I mean, nobody had it on their bingo card when you talk about, hey, man, Sam Darnold and Matthew Stafford in a shootout, and Sam Darnold goes head-to-head with Matthew Stafford and basically bests him. Like, nobody had that on their bingo card, right? In a shootout. But that's exactly what they were able to do. But how much more pressure is on you? You take over the ball at the 6-yard line with 4 minutes and 45 seconds left or whatever, and you put a complete, like, you put drive together. You go, and you basically eat up all the clock to the point where the Rams are going to get it with 20 seconds left or whatever, 25, and no timeouts. And you're able to do that. But how much different is that if all of a sudden, I'm only up by 1 and we got to put a drive together, and if we turn it over, the success that Matthew Stafford is having throwing the ball, especially to Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams, like, they're only a 50-yard field goal away from winning this damn thing.
This aversion of kicking field goals, are we, and when I say we, the NFL fans out there, the NFL media, are we to blame? Because have we supported and congratulated so much the idea of being aggressive and not playing scared, not coaching scared, and playing to win, all that stuff that sounds really cool, that it's sort of infused these coaches with this sense that not only do I not want to look scared by kicking the field goal, but it's almost like I'm drunk with power because I've been encouraged so much to do this, that you lose some sense of common sense. So are we to blame because we've really loved the idea, this switch towards going for it on 4th down.
Yeah.
So should we, pipe down when we have a game like yesterday in both games where we're like, oh, they should have been conservative and kicked the field goal. It was a smarter thing to do.
No, but the rest of the people should, not me, because I've been the one guy going, hey, man, I like field goals. I like 3 points. Sometimes 3 points is the right play to make. So that's kind of where I'm at. I will say what came out of that drive, and it was all balls by Seattle, right? Putting a drive together, talk about 4 minute offense, eating up the rest of the remainder of that clock, the remainder of that game. And is unbelievable, right? But at the same time, I don't know what a catch is.
Yeah.
I don't. That third down conversion to Cooper Kupp, I was under the impression in the NFL that you have to survive the ground. It goes back to the Calvin Johnson end zone thing, right? Where he doesn't survive. He catches it, gets both feet down, takes a step, falls down, hits the ground on his back or side, and the ball pops out of his hand. No catch. All right. Cooper Kupp catches the ball, couple steps, hits the ground, not the ball hitting the ground, but his body hits the ground. It comes out of his hands. That's a catch for a first down? I thought you had to survive the ground. Like, the NFL doesn't know what the freaking rules are. The officials don't know what. Can we get, like, this has got to be something about this offseason, because ultimately the officiating, I know it's a tough job, and I know they get more right than they get wrong, but the incongruent nature, the inconsistency of calls, no wonder fans are pissed off. There is no way. Like, if you go back to that catch that wasn't a catch and was an interception in the Buffalo-Denver game, because they said, hey, the ball, you got to survive the ground, and the ball wasn't secure, and the DB ripped it through, and all that stuff. If Cooper Kupp's is a catch on that third down, then Cook's was a catch. I don't understand. You sold me on the survival of the ground. Got to survive the ground. Why do you not have to survive the ground on that one?
Mark, I've watched 18 weeks of regular season football, and what is this now? 3 weeks of playoff football.
Right.
And now that it's down to one game, I come through this season, I have no idea what a catch is, and I have no idea what pass interference is.
I understand that the pass interference stuff is subjective. I get that. And
apparently what is a catch and not a catch is subjective too.
Maybe I'm wrong, and you guys can correct me if I am. Like, I know our fans on YouTube are gonna, shoot me a note or whatever. But I'm just saying, from me personally, and I call a game every weekend, unless the playoffs are around, because then I don't get to do those because I'm not famous enough. But I really don't know what a catch is and what a catch isn't. I really don't. Because I don't understand that you've got to survive the ground unless you don't have to survive the ground.
Right.
Because sometimes you have to survive the ground, but sometimes you don't need to survive the ground, apparently. Like, I guess that's the rule. It's like however we're feeling about calling the play, that's how we're going to call the play. Because that ball, it wasn't like, hey, man, I'm running with a ball, and then I get tackled, and as I go down, I hit the ground with the ball's in my elbow. I hit the ground, and then it pops out. Like, you take 2 steps, and bam, you fall on your back, and the ball pops out. That's not surviving the ground. It's not. It's not like a running back carrying the ball. Like, I think the NFL has got to sit down in this multi-billion-dollar business and say, we have to have some consistency with it, the way we call this. And then the other thing is, we're going to, like, at some point, don't you have to make every ref like a full-time ref or whatever, like, however you do it, just from the standpoint of the integrity of the game?
I hear that, but I don't know if that, you and I are both big baseball fans, right?
Right.
And the guy behind the dish tonight will have a different strike zone than the guy that's behind the dish tomorrow.
Right.
Right? And they're full-time.
Yeah.
So I think that as long as you still kind of have a, subjective part of the officiating, I guess we're going to have to continue to see more of this.
I guess. I don't know. It just feels, again, and this is just me being honest. I just don't.
I know.
I don't understand. I don't understand what a catch is and what a catch is.
Right.
And it is unbelievable. By the way, you want to talk about the guy who is breathing a sigh of relief tonight or today? Tyreek Woolen.
Oh.
Third down and 12, makes an unbelievable play. I think the score was 31-20 at the time. Unbelievable play on third down. And then he doesn't stop. He does not shut up. He continues up and down the sideline, pumping his chest, swelling himself up, gets the taunting foul. Unbelievable, the taunting foul. And then on the very next play, gets beat with a slant go, sluggo. Whoop. I mean, he just bites, right? And now all of a sudden, it's 31, whatever, 27, right?
Yeah,
31-27. And, man, I don't know if you saw where his own players on the sideline are basically up in his grill like, you dumb mother effer. Like, what are you doing? And I understand, like, I go back to the 2015 Broncos, the whole no-fly zone and stuff. And I remember them going, every now and again, like in every game, we're going to take at least one personal foul, right?
Yeah.
But there's a difference between taunting and taking a personal foul.
Right.
Right? Because every now and again, Rydell in the ribs of somebody that's a little bit late, at least you're sending a message. At least you're making a guy aware of the next time he catches the ball in the middle of the football field that somebody may come headhunting. Flailing your arms and talking shit to somebody, like that has no effect on anyone. Like Tyreek got lucky, man. I'm on a text chain. All my buddies live in Seattle. All my college teammates live in Seattle. Dude, they were ready to ship his ass out of town. They were like, this son of a bitch. Like, can he get on the plane with the Rams when we win and send him out there with the Rams? I mean, they were pissed.
Hey, and we'll have more chance to talk about Sam Darnold and what a amazing journey this has been for him over the next couple of weeks. But what's next for Matthew Stafford?
Dude, he's going to be the MVP of the league. And you got to the NFC Championship, and you dealt you had 3 touchdowns, 350-plus yards passing. You were great. Now, you think about it. Man, this Seattle defense has been phenomenal, except when they play the Rams.
Yeah.
The Rams put up, in a game they lost in Seattle, 37 points, right? Wasn't it 38-37?
Yep.
And you look at them. If you look at the Rams, and I heard Kurt Warner talking about this as I was driving home from the Broncos game before I started watching it on TV. Kurt Warner was doing the radio broadcast of that NFC Championship game, and he said, as I went back and studied the film, and Kurt does a great job with his film study and all that stuff. I mean, that dude knows what he's looking at. He goes, the Rams dominated Seattle in both games. They were the better team in both games, and they had lost. Obviously won. They had won one. But the bottom line is the Rams offensively, if you're Matthew Stafford, dude, I'm coming back. I'm going to have, my offensive lines intact, our run game's intact. We've got all those tight ends. We've got weapons with Nakua and Devontae Adams. We went to the NFC Championship game and lost a game where we put up 27 points. And probably should have had at least 30 with a chance to win the game at the end. Like, I would have to think Matthew Stafford's going to be back for, year 18?
I hope so. Love watching him play.
I do too. He's one of the best throwers of the football I have ever witnessed in my entire life.
Yep.
And he's playing at such a high level.
Yep.
So, congratulations to the New England Patriots. Congratulations to the Seattle Seahawks. You guys earned it. Super Bowl 60 right around the corner. We'll be here for the next 2 weeks, leading right up to Super Bowl 60, talking about all the matchups. I'll study the film. I'll look at it all, and we'll have a lot more to come in the next 2 weeks.
Sounds good.
All right. For everybody involved in the Stinkin' Truth podcast, thank you so much for making us a part of your day. Make sure you download. Make sure you share with your friends. Make sure you subscribe. We appreciate you guys. Back with you later in the week. I'm going to Tampa Bay today to celebrate my granddaughter's 13th birthday.
By the way.
Yes.
By the way, can we zoom in on this guy here? happy birthday
Oh, well, thank you,
to
buddy.
Mark Schlereth. You had your birthday yesterday.
Yeah, the 28th anniversary of Super Bowl 32.
Yeah.
Yesterday, where I turned 32 on my on Super Bowl 32. Turned 32 that day, and it was great, man. Had tons of birthday wishes from you guys. So thank you so much. I totally appreciate it. I try to return everybody's birthday wishes. I appreciate that. And it was fun. Got to take my oldest daughter, Alex, to the game. We enjoyed the heck out of it.
Great picture. Made you look like you were outside.
Well, I was.
Even though you weren't.
At that point, I was outside. I spent the first quarter. I spent most of the first quarter. I spent some of the first quarter outdoors. Just being a man of the people. Was out there with the great unwashed. And
Beautiful. At that point, it was beautiful. It was like 27. The sun was out.
I know. As soon as I started feeling a hint of the weather coming in, I was like, hey. I bumped my daughter. I was like, hey, what do you think about going to Peyton's suite? She's like, okay. And I was like, let's go. do walk down there. So it was all good. Anyhow, for everybody involved, we thank you so much for making us a part of your day. Make sure you stay tuned. Hey, we've got some big news down the road here coming up. So I think cool things in the works here with the Stinkin' Truth podcast. But stay tuned for all that information, and we'll be back with you on Friday at the end of this week to put another one together.